Afternoon, everybody. I thought I'd just pop on a little bit early. Only a couple of minutes. You won't forgive me a couple of minutes. So I'm not going to say anything significant before 17:45, because if I told you the secret of life and then the others joined at 17:45, they'd be upset because I can't repeat it, as we all know. Anyway, a very warm welcome to this afternoon's stream. I've been sitting here actually just sort of setting up for the last hour, and I've just been playing around with a little piece which I think I might sort of... It's interesting because actually it combines a whole load of different libraries together and it sounds all right. Anyway, look, we'll look at that in a minute because it's still got 4 minutes to go. So, oh my lord, look at all these people chattering away. Woodwinds. I saw quite a lot going on about orchestral percussion and much interest in the BBC Symphony Orchestra stuff and all that. So yeah, we'll get into all that. Trust me, we will get into all that. I have, of course, got by my side my trusty sunglasses of doubt, but I'm sincerely hoping we won't need it this afternoon, because I think that we're just going to cast off sunglasses of doubt and just go for really cool stuff. You know, we are so lucky to live in this age when there are so many fantastic libraries out there that really, really great, and I can't wait to share one or two of my favourites with you and answer your questions. I mean, importantly, answer your questions. So, hello, Pete in Wisconsin. Who else have we got going on here? Lots of people from Kenya. Kenya? Is that a geezer called Rolex from Kenya? Good grief. What can I possibly say? Yeah, okay. Let's have a little look. Who else is on? Oh my goodness. Hertfordshire, Italy, Buonasera. Pete from Wisconsin, yes. Portugal. Oh, right. Lots and lots of people from all over the shop. Very good. Anyway, so we're going to be looking... Oh, Ukraine and Cambridge? This is lovely. Yeah, I know. I like people who just say this is lovely, because this is genuinely lovely, isn't it? I mean, you know, that we can get together like this, and that broadcasting now can be done on such a sort of micro basis that we can do this so easily and so regularly. Hi from Sydney. What time of day is it for you? Sydney's a little bit early in the morning, isn't it? Have I called you out of bed? It's funny, we did open day for our people interested in the postgraduate courses the other day, and there were people up at 3 o'clock in the morning tuning in from all over the shop, and oh my lord, I thought, blimey, that's quite enthusiastic, to put it mildly. Right, 43. I can't say anything. Easter Island statues in Oxford. Really? Poland. Dzień dobry państwo. Jak się masz? What else have we got going on? Who else? Oh, Seattle. Yeah, I've recorded a couple of films in Seattle. Both at Studio X, which I gather has now been sold and turned into an office block or something. But I'm also told that it's going to open up again somewhere else. Seattle's a really lovely place to go and record. Wonderful musicians, lovely city. The only thing is, coming from London, you get on a plane for about 20 hours and you get off the other end, and the weather is exactly the same. It was cold and wet when I got on the plane, and it's cold and wet when I got off. And I feel a bit shortchanged by that. But nonetheless, that was Ultimate Avengers 1 and 2, which we both, for Marvel, which we recorded up there, which were great, had a really good time. You know, it sounded great, I think. And everybody was happy. Canada, yeah, I've spent some time in Canada. I've been all over the shop, yes. Well, your Polish is fantastic. You've now heard at least 75% of my Polish. Wyglądasz jak czerwona kapuska. I was told meant you look like a red cabbage, but I could be wrong. It's a bit early in the days to do drinks every time I throw my hands up in the air, I suppose. But I'll keep doing this because it could cause all kinds of chaos as the day goes on. Right, it is 17:45. This is the time when we're scheduled to be on, so now I can start saying more significant things. Look, what I thought we'd do, because I know lots of you have questions about particular libraries and things like that. So I thought, look, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to sit down. I've started writing a piece of music about 45 minutes ago. I had this little idea in my head, which I thought might be quite fun. And actually what's turned out is I've done it using a whole load of different libraries. You know, there's some play stuff from East West Crowd, there's some BBC Symphony Orchestra stuff, there's all kinds of stuff going on in here. So let me just play you what I've got going on. It's a sort of strange little piece, but it goes a bit like this. Okay, now, what have we got going on in here? Let me start isolating some bits out, because as I started just making sure everything was working really, and then this sort of started taking shape, and I thought, okay, well, why not? Now, BBC Symphony Orchestra, lots of you interested in this. So there's some symphony orchestra going on. That's the viola and the clarinet. Then comes in violins in octaves, cello. Now, that's what you get. That's the thing which I really like about BBC Symphony Orchestra, is the fact that it's not in an enormous hall, that you get that sort of soundstage. Just listen to the end. You can hear them in the room. There's no extra reverb on that, and I really like that. I've played with I haven't... The thing I really don't particularly like about the BBC Symphony Orchestra is this interface. It's like a black hole. You can't see anything. Also, it's huge. Look. I mean, there's this great chunks of nothingness going on. Really? Oh, anyway, the actual sound and the value you get from... I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. As Bulugandari says, it does sound amazing for $1,000. I mean, you know, it is definitely value if you're in for that kind of investment. But it is an investment, because obviously you can buy a library for $100, and so this is 10 times as much. But you're getting something you would not need to go out and buy extra orchestral libraries for quite a while, I think. The actual sound is great. It's very easy to play. I'm not wild about the player, also because it's not multi-timbral and it's not very flexible. You know, it's good at what it does, but personally, I mean, I think Kontakt is better. But nonetheless, for those of you who are going down this route, this is an excellent place to start. And you know, I haven't, as I say, I haven't used it because I have quite a big template, and it takes a little while to integrate new libraries into the template. And if I was going all out for this, I'd have to chuck quite a lot of other stuff out. And I really like most of my template is the normal Spitfire symphonic library thing. Okay, look, that was just a quick look at that. Now, what about this epic percussion thing? Because there's quite a lot of that going on here. This is another one which I've discovered recently, which came with Native Instruments Complete, is this action strikes thing. And I really like it. I think it's great. It's got this kind of... It does the big, beefy bottom thing quite well. And everybody needs a big, beefy bottom. But and then it does quite a lot of these little performance-y things. Like it's got these pulley sticks playing these toms, which go... Which I like. Now, important thing, when you're doing something like these pulley stick things, these little runs, I always bounce them out like this, because it's just so much easier to see where that downbeat is going to be. If you're playing it in by MIDI, you just get lost all the time, and it doesn't quite, boop, 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 you know. So anyway, I like this. I like this. Now, we are on the subject of percussion, so I will delve into this in a bit more detail in a minute. Just wanted to run you through. Now, I tell you what, I found an absolutely super little library the other day. What I wanted with this particular little piece, and I found this library for a different project I was doing, but is something which has got that kind of really kind of earthy, folky kind of sound. And I found this library called Viola da Gamba by a guy called, where are you? There you are, Ben Osterhaus. Well done, Ben. It's an absolutely cracking library, and it's very, very inexpensive. And it works unlike others. So you can just turn on these different articulations and it layers them up. And it gives you this kind of great kind of, if you're interested in the sort of Nordic noir-y sort of stuff. How nice is that? I really like that. Then I added to it some viola from Cinematic Studio solo strings and turned the vibrato completely off. So I like that. I think that's quite good. And so this is why you end up buying the full version of Kontakt, because you can go out and find these little artisan libraries like Viola da Gamba from Ben for, I honestly can't remember how much it was, but it was really, really great. Really great. So everybody rush out and buy Ben Osterhausen's Viola da Gamba, because I think it's, you know, it's little developers like that who need support, because otherwise, we'll just end up with 3 or 4 huge developers, and that will be it. And then we'll be completely stuffed. Okay. Now, there is other stuff going on in here. I mean, there's also some play going in there. I've got the choirs going in there, which I'm a big fan of. Their word builder is pretty good. This is... That's pretty good. I mean, you can really play with their word builder, but and there's lots of other really cool choirs, and we can talk about that if you're interested. But I'm also a big fan of the 8DO stuff as well, which the 8DO choir is really, really, really good. Right. There were questions out there about this, about the whole kind of orchestral percussion thing. Let me just load up. Let's go and load up a good old Kontakt, and then we'll see what we can find. Now, okay. Orchestral percussion. One which people overlook is, now where has it gone? And one which I often go to and still is in my True Strike. There we go, from Project Sam. You've got different folders with different mic positions in. There's stage is a good place to start. Basics. You see, you can see I used to have this as a Giga Studio thing. Whoa, sorry. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. A filling just fell out. I, use that for an awful lot of stuff. And actually, I tell you what I really like. Do you see this stuff? I'm not sure if you can see it. Yes, you probably can just about read this. They do timpani crescendos at 2 seconds, 4 seconds, and 8 seconds. And this is one of my favorite, is the Crescendo Diminuendo. It goes like this. No, it doesn't. It goes like this. I like that. I like that. So if you're in the market for orchestral percussion, I honestly don't know how much this costs these days, because as you saw, look at, you could just about see that this is a conversion from Giga Studio. It is the same recording, but it's available. It's still available. It's absolutely great, really, really great. the Spitfire stuff, obviously, there's the Spitfire percussion, which is very reliable. I mean, it's obviously expensive. You know, it isn't cheap, is it? I mean, nobody would go to Spitfire because it's an inexpensive place to buy your samples, but they do it exceptionally well, which is why so many people use it. The thing about some of these bigger libraries is you have the multiple mic positions. Okay, can you see this? Just here, look. I've got these mic positions remoted back to these faders, which you can see just going up and down on my left hand. Okay, so if you go for full close mics, you get a very dry sound. If you go for the tree mic, if you go for the ambient mic, so you can balance up. And that goes, mic positions are very powerful, but remember that if you open up 3 mic positions, you've got 3 times the memory. So you probably can't see it because it's tiny writing, but that is using 660, it's using just over half a gigabyte for 1 timpani. So you'd need quite a lot you need an awful lot of RAM if you're going to build a library. I mean, build a template around that kind of thing. But so the Spitfire stuff is really good. Don't forget those of you out there who've got East West Composer Cloud. I did see some conversation about that it is quite ambient, a lot of their stuff, and that is true. The one I tell you, the library I haven't played with, although I've now got it, because I've recently acquired the Cloud Plus thing. Let's just have a little look. I haven't even played with this one. Is the Hollywood Percussion? Do we think it's any good? I don't know. Let's find out. What have we got going on here? So we got antique field drum, tambourines. There's all kinds of stuff there. Have they got some timpani? Yes, we got the good old timpani. Okay, I'm just going to load one in and see what it sounds like, because we'll get an idea pretty quickly. Wah! Oh, goodness gracious. That was a bit loud. Sorry about that. Oh, it's a bit dry. Well, a lot of their stuff, you're supposed to do that. And turn on their reverb. And again, you know, if that they record in the East West Studio, which is a really nice room. It's not huge though, so therefore, if for things which are going to need a bit more ambience, it's not always the best. But you do get, with all the play stuff, you get all these impulse responses. Never overlook this, because look, there's down here. If you go to LA scoring stages, and then you go to something like Burbank Large. I think that's the Warner Brothers one, where I've actually recorded. And then turn that up a bit. There you go. That's all right. That's nice. I like that. Right. Let's have... There's about 458 million questions rolled in. Let me have a quick look and see what's going on. East West Percussion. Toms are quite big for the single patch. Yes, I thought that. So wouldn't get it now, but good option. I tell you what, I really like some of their stuff, you know, from the back in the day. You remember when everybody used symphonic orchestra, and now we say, nah, symphonic orchestra, we don't need that anymore. Do you not? Are you sure you don't? Their stuff is absolutely great, and it's still great. Here we go. Ooh, load up my old friend. Here we go. That's I know this is coming through the wonder of YouTube sound, which is not always the best in the world. But oh my goodness gracious, that's sounding a bit weird. Whoa, it's sounding a bit. No, it does sound great. I mean, those of you who've got East West Orchestra, don't overlook the huge gong, and it's about G4 or something like that. You just get this, but play it quietly. If you play this huge percussion quietly, you just get this whoa. And then the quiet rumble of a building falling, being demolished next door because it's so loud, it shakes the foundations. Anyway, so I would definitely, for those of you who've got the symphonic orchestra, don't just cast it aside because there's some really, really good stuff in there. And, just because it was recorded probably 15 years ago does not mean it's not great. And that goes for a lot of them. You see, I mean, it's like Hollywood. I was looking at an email today, actually. Hollywood Strings was released before Spitfire existed. Spitfire was just doing their Bespoke series when Hollywood Strings came out. So Hollywood Strings has been around for donkey's years. And, a good recording is still a good recording. So East West Symphonic Orchestra must have been almost, must be, God knows when it was recorded. Anyway, long time ago, but it's still good. And there's still lots and lots of stuff in there, which is great. What would I recommend for Taiko Drums? You've got quite a lot of choice with Taiko Drums. One which is still worth checking out is 8DO do quite a good line in Taiko Drums. Let's just have a little look. Where's 8DO gone? Hello, 8DO.
Hello, Guy.
Do you have any Taiko drums?
Yes, actually, I do.
Oh, thanks. Can I hear one?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay. Really replace? Yes, really replace. And see what happens. There's always this slight nervousness when it goes quiet like that. That's quite good. I've forgotten how good this is, actually. Tell you what, let's just go up the other end of my little epic piece. Epic, it's not that epic. It's a bit gamey, isn't it, that piece I've done, actually. Okay. Then we're going to stick a couple of MIDI tracks on and put some extra bits on and see if it layers up nicely. Oh, I bet it does. Okay, let's just put those on. Let's change the MIDI track altered one number 1. There we go. So, what are we... It needs to be faster, but there we go. It's not bad. You get the gist. Am I going to tidy it up or not bother? Oh, never quantized like that guy. Anyway, okay, so 8DO is definitely worth thinking about. I think 8DO is often overlooked, and so much of their stuff is really, really good. And the woodwinds are great. They've got some incredibly detailed strings and all that kind of thing. Really, really good. So they all work in the thingamabob, the full version of Kontakt. They don't have any of them which work with the player and all the rest of it. But they have the most enormous selection of stuff. I mean, it's quirky, and not all of them work perfectly, but if I was starting from scratch, I'd definitely give them a go. Also, they do enormous sales quite regularly. And flash sales and things like that. So they'll suddenly say, 40% off this. And you go, okay, I'll have it. Okay, the way we do. Okay, let's... I almost bought BBC for €1,000, but then East West had a sale and I paid 500 for their whole platinum version. BBC seems a bit too expensive for you. It's as I said, with the BBC Symphony Orchestra, I really like it. And if I was starting from scratch and I wanted a sort of professional grade orchestral library out the box, which all sounded cohesive and wasn't as ambient as their normal one, it would absolutely be on my shopping list. One of those I would definitely consider. If money is no expense, I'd still probably... Okay, how important is going from the same company? It's a good question. If money were no object, I'd start with all their symphonic stuff recorded in Air, which is pretty much what I use most of the time. But it is really, really expensive. I mean, the reason that people go for it, let's just go back into Kontakt. Okay. I tell you what, I'll show you something. For some reason, it only lets me... Where is it? This is the first sample library Spitfire ever produced. Not this one. This one. Do you see this one here? I bet you've never seen one of these before. This, and trouble is, even though it's registered, it comes up as demo, which is really, really disappointing. But there we go. I think I can still play it. Look, there's no interface, nothing. This was their bespoke series, which cost an absolute apple time fortune, because there were about literally 50 composers, and because it was limited to 50, so 50 composers or whatever shared the entire cost of the whole thing. But for about 15 years, that's all I used was this chamber string. It's absolutely lovely. So that's where it all started, their bespoke series. And they, hired the hall, they hired the best players, and they got, a very limited number of composers to invest. And thank God we did, because, out of it comes Spitfire, which is, probably the best in the world at the moment. So what you get, the thing is, what you get with Spitfire, which you don't always get with others, is the sheer number of articulations, is quite Disco Falls, unfortunately, is the first one which comes up. Really? There's a lot of stuff going on in there. Flautando portamento, fingered legato. You've got just the most enormous range of... You've got trills over a major second, minor second, major third, and a perfect fourth. You don't find too many of those to the ton. Oh! Sorry, thank you, Linda. Oh, you complete twat guy. There. Oh, what an idiot. Okay, right. Where was I? I was showing you all this stuff and you couldn't see it. Sorry. Okay, so let me just run through this again. Look, here we go. This is chamber strings, violin 1. Look, there's just the most enormous list of articulations there. It's pretty amazing. Right, let me just show... Okay, as I obviously wasn't showing you, let me go back and show you the bespoke stuff again. Where was it? Okay, hang on, close it up. There it is, right, here's... Okay, so let's go ensemble short to low extension. Up it comes, there it is. There, very simple. I think it's as good as anything they've done. Absolutely anything. Really, really, really. I know. Now I listen to that, I think, maybe I should get it back in the old, back in the template. Measured others, unmeasured. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely sound. But boy, it was eye-wateringly expensive. I can't remember how many thousands of pounds it cost, but it was an awful lot. Anyway, so that's why, that kind of quality of recording. And never forget that with all these libraries, you get so much. If you delve into, the mic positions and all the rest of it, you get so much ability, an enormous ability to modify them. So if you put the closes up. It's a nice sound. But you do need a lot of RAM for that. Unless you do the famous purge thing, which I mentioned to you in the Kontakt 6 video last week or whenever it was. Right, let me just have... okay, I love Spitfire chamber strings, however, a little bit confused when I realised that the articulation is changing instrument to instrument. You don't have to. I mean, okay, there's two ways of doing this. A lot of people like being able to have individual articulations and stick them on each. It's a good option to have because with BBC Symphony, no, it's not true with BBC Symphony, or you can load the individual articulations, I discovered, but it's not obvious how you do it to start with. If you load up the basic violin, for example, and this is the same with a lot of libraries, what you get is a choice of all these articulations, which you can see. You get, the legato one, you get the longs, you get the shorts, you get the pizzicato, and all the rest of it. And that takes 0.64 of a gigabyte. If you just want 2 or 3 of those articulations, then you don't need to load the whole lot up. But equally, if you use the famous purge thing, it's gone down to nothing. And then even if you play a single chord like that, it's loading, as opposed to 0.6 of a gigabyte, it's now loaded 8 megabytes. So it's next to... But you do have to have an SSD, obviously. Anyway, but look, I mean, there's lots of libraries which do that. Let's have a look at what people want to know. Okay, what's the difference between instrument and MIDI and cubase, and when would you use it either? Well, these are instruments. Okay, the instruments. You load an instrument, and you can play them. You can play the MIDI straight back. But also, if you create extra MIDI tracks, you can route them back to that same instrument. So if, for example, when I was messing about with this, I wanted to be able to play on multiple tracks. So they all these MIDI tracks all feed into this Kontakt instrument, but it just lets me mess about and record them separately. That's all it was. BBC strings and symphonic are similar. Not sort of. It's with symphonic strings you get a lot more articulations, and you get a much more ambient sound because it's recorded in air as opposed to... No, I don't want to do that. So if we load up the performance legato for Spitfire symphonic strings, it sounds like this. There's quite a lot more programming that's gone into that actually when I listen to that now. Whereas the here we go. This is the BBC Symphony Worcester. So it's quite a different sound, isn't it? I mean, it's a much drier sound. I don't know. I mean, it's horses for courses. You can that is really down to your taste. So also, can you select only one articulation? But there is a way. I can't quite remember exactly how you do it. Actually, there is because this interface is so dark, I can barely see what I'm doing. But there is a list of. I think you can edit them or something, and create your own. Yes, that's what I do. So you can have individual articulations, but it's not as straightforward as the ones you can when you've got them set up as individual patches in Kontakt. That's all. However, the BBC Symphony Orchestra, there are these sort of Cubase and Logic templates. I loaded up one of those and turned on all the instruments, and it came to about 32 gigabytes without anything, without turning anything off. So if you've got 32 gigabytes of RAM, you're laughing. You're off. Right, let's move on. I don't want to spend all day talking about Spitfire because they are expensive, and it's not everybody who likes it. Which library would you use for composing wind band, a brass band? Wind band's an interesting one. Now, yeah, because I've got a good friend who writes quite a lot of wind band stuff. What would I use? I mean, the thing is that it's a good question, but probably something like Broadway, which I'm not sure I've got on this system. That would be a shame. The Chris Hines stuff is, I mean, for here we go. For here we go, section, let's have alto section. If you want sort of big band stuff, so it's got all those kind of bits and pieces going on in there. The other one, which I was surprisingly impressed with, let's see if I've been having a big sort out with my libraries recently to try and get them on the right drives and all that kind of nonsense. Where is the Native Instruments one? Because the Native Instruments one, which comes with Complete, is surprisingly good. I think we tend to think that if it comes bundled with, it's not on here. That's a real shame. I'll have to, okay, another time. Well, because we'll have to go back over some. Because I get asked about big band and things like that. I should make sure that all these libraries load up, and then we'll have a separate. We'll do it on another occasion, because I think this seems quite a good idea. People like listening to sample libraries and all that kind of thing. So we'll do another live. Berlin Woodwind are the best. Really, I haven't got. I've got their strings and brass, and they're absolutely wonderful. Hello, Phil. Phil Z German. Time for the breath. Yeah, you're probably right. 30 gig, but I'm still running low. Yeah, I purge constantly and in my template and only turn on what I use. It's, I know, memory is a big deal. I mean, memory is trying to live within your means is hard work. I mean, I'm not sure how much I've got running here at the moment. Let's have a little look. Performance. We're using 33 gigabytes of memory, and we've not got much going. 37% of CPU and 33 gigabytes. But this is a monstrous machine. This is absolutely huge. So this is, it having a cup of tea before breakfast. It's not even really thinking about it. Jxl Brass. Okay, I'll have to go back and ask them, because people keep on asking this, and I'll go and have a chat with them and see if they can let me have one to give a go with. Likewise, Tina Guo cellos I haven't played with. I've heard them, and they sound. We heard some on a demo sent in by a potential master student the other day, and I was almost convinced it was live. It was so good. So I'm really okay, really impressive. OT. Oh yeah, orchestra. Yeah. They sound is real, not mushy and drain. Yeah. The reason I really like the Berlin stuff, and it's another reason why I like the 8DO stuff, is because if you rely on people with the mod wheel to put expression into a note, I think you're on a hiding to nothing. I mean, because if you go into okay, I always choose if I'm going to try if I'm going to try a string library, I always look at violas to see. Okay, dude, how much have you really how much attention have you put into this? Okay, actually go in the multi ones for violas. Dynamics, this one, because what they do, it'll now take a couple of seconds to do that. There we go. Right, they do all these. You can see that, can't you? Yeah. You can hear the bow change and everything. It's just lovely. Woo! Really, really nice, isn't it? And the thing is, because they actually do record them with a really small number of players, you can layer it up, and it's super duper. I tried Century Brass from 8DO when it first came out, and I liked it. I haven't tried version 2, but it can only obviously pass. Red Room, yeah, of course, Red Room. We've done a couple of things with Red Room. Their palette, I did a video with palette a couple of weeks ago, and the last time we did a live stream, I'm pretty sure we got their. Was it a live stream when we were playing with their Celtic fiddle? It was really, really good. Their fiddle stuff is astonishingly good. Have I got it loaded in here? So the palette stuff I really like. Let me see if I can't remember where I've stuck it. I've got so many drives and all that kind of malarkey. Hang on. It'll be on this one. I've just been consolidating because the trouble is consolidating takes a long time because you've got stuff all over the shop. Red Room. Where have you gone, Red Room? I'm sure they were in there. Oh, God, I can't find anything today. I have got some Red Room. Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I won't waste time looking for stuff. Watching somebody looking for samples is a bit like watching paint dry, isn't it? I mean, being honest. Right. Okay. What about synths, Guy? Yeah, okay. We will do a separate day on synths because the ones I use at the moment are Dune, which is absolutely fantastic. Dune and Serum and Razor and all the Yuhei stuff, Repro 1, Repro 5 and Zebra, Dark Zebra actually. So that's quite a lot really. But there's a ton and a half of new stuff which I've just starting to get into. There's this stuff which I haven't even properly played with yet because we're going to do it at some future point because they're about to do something else. But hang on, here we go. Polygon, Polygon, which is an extraordinary machine. This thing, have you come across this? It's from Glitch Machines. Absolutely incredible. Really, really cool. Hang on. No, I won't do it. I'm not going to do it justice by faffing about. But check out Glitch Machine stuff because it's really, if you're into that kind of edgy, glitchy sort of sound, their stuff is really cool. Palindrome and anyway, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do them justice and do it properly. Right, let's have a look at some questions flooding in. Oh, the question was, how important is it to have them all from the same library, the same manufacturer? It does make life a lot easier because if you have multiple sample developers, you've also got multiple rooms, and so you're sort of superimposing one room on top of another, and that can sound a bit weird. And it can sound. I mean, so if you're using all of, for example, Cine Sample. We haven't mentioned Cine Sample. Let's get a Cine Sample thing up. Cine Samples has a very distinctive room sound, and it's really good room sound. Let's find a Cine Sample library and show you what I mean. There we go. And let's have violin articulation. No, stick to your guns, Guy. Go for viola articulations. Because in the past, people used to skimp on the violas. So you go there and have a little look under the bonnet and see how much attention to detail is really going on. Yeah, quite exactly. Okay, here we go. Load in your own time, won't you, mate? Here we go. Do you hear that room? I love that room. The only thing with Cine Sound is that there isn't the same number of articulations as there are with other libraries. But if you wanted that, or if you want, this thing about having one developer and one room, if you go for the Cine Sample stuff, you get a really nice sounding room, and you get everything in that same room. Which one was it? Was it Sony or MG? I can't remember. It's one of the... save my work. Oh, thank you. Yeah, good point. But I'm just messing about now, aren't I? I have saved the underlying tune because I quite like the underlying tune. But so yeah, if you can make other rooms, because what you do, is if you wanted to put, for example, the driest of all, which is the old style Vienna instrument. hang on, let's move this over here because you can't see anything when it's over there, can you? Vienna instrument, that one. Bonk. There we go. Add track. Shoom. Now this is Vienna sound, the old stuff. I'm talking pre-synchron stage because the synchron stage has changed everything. But the old style stuff, anything which you'd mic about there sounded fantastic. And here we go. But I'll show you how you could put that instrument in the... Oh, hang on. What have I done here? That wasn't what I intended to do at all. Okay, there we go. Preset, that's what I'm looking for. Let's get the flutes up. I want matrix flutes. Flute plus, there we go. And the thing about... This is special edition plus. But you get a tons and tons of articulations. But... See what I mean? It's about, it's as dry as the Mojave Desert. It's unbelievably dry. How did you make it that dry? But actually, it makes it much easier to do absolutely really, really good legato. Let's do this. So here we go. Let us pretend we wanted to put that flute in the same room as our friends in LA. Right, I would use Spaces. And because... Spaces have got some very good... Hang on, that's... I tell you what, let me just take that off and actually open up the Spaces itself so that you can see it. If you choose the right ambience, the right... impulse response, and they've got some quite good scoring stage ones. So I go for where are we? Where's the stages? Let's go to stages. There we go. LA scoring stages, and we go for Burbank 2 seconds small. There. Do you hear what you're getting there? It's kind of. But the let's just get that. Look, where's find the legato? No, there is no viable plugin to remove reverb, unfortunately. It's defeated people for a long time. I mean, oh, yes, bought it. Tell me more, Jim Reader. Greetings from Panama. Hello. Yeah. Greetings from Austria. Absolutely. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Dry sound libraries, says Cyril. Yeah, I mean, well, it really... Yeah, exactly right, Linda. This is what I've been talking about. Have you tried Embertone Joshua Bell violin? I've struggled a bit with the Embertone. I mean, people get absolutely fantastic results out of it, and I've never quite gelled with it. I think I have to invest a bit more time. That would be a good piano book sample instruments. No, I'm not familiar with them either. Goodness. Okay, can Isotopes RX do that? I'll have to talk to my Isotope are my new best friends, so I will have a word and see if they know anything about removing reverb. Okay. Linda needs to go back to work. Shh! Don't let on, everybody. Linda's at work. She's watching this, but actually she's at work. Yeah. Okay. Does a better quality library help less mixing touch-ups? Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you've got a really good library with a good with a good room sound, you pretty much don't need to. You shouldn't have a huge amount of additional mixing to do. I mean, there's always mixing to do, because as the mixer, what you're doing is effectively what the conductor's doing. You're bringing out sections. So. And obviously, you need to, blend the thing together, because if with a live orchestra, all the players are listening to each other, and the samples don't listen to each other; they just do their thing. So it's up to you to blend the whole thing together and make it completely scrumptious and lovely. And that's what our intention is, isn't it? Make things scrumptious and lovely. Well, that's what I do. I get up every morning and say, let me make something scrumptious and lovely. No, I don't. No, not every morning. Some mornings. Right. Okay. Oh, let's have a little look. What I'm going to skip back in case I'm. Oh, there's so many questions I've missed here. Which library do you use for composing with? Oh no, we've gone that one. When you play that, you should use the AQ button on the bottom. Oh, auto quantize. Okay, yes, maybe. Okay. Strange YouTube. Didn't get any notification. I only sort of set this up yesterday, to be absolutely honest. It's a little bit on the short notice side, but we're doing all right. 396 people watching. Way. Okay. Oh, I tell you what, this is what I'm supposed to do. I keep on forgetting to do this, and to remind you, if you haven't subscribed, children, if you are not one of our regulars, then you should be subscribing and ticking the notifications button, because then you will get notifications when things like this happen. And if you're interested in learning to write music, it just happens I've written a course about it. How to Write Music is my online course that takes you through every step of the process. How to get going, chord progressions, tune writing, developing and arranging your music, 6 hours of exclusive video tutorials, a course text packed with tips, and a supportive online community. Get more out of your music and sign up today. There you go. And that actually, you saw that shot of me with the orchestra. That was the Warner Brothers stage in Los Angeles, which I think is possibly the when they do when East West say the Burbank scoring stage. I think it's probably that one, because it sounds like it. It sounds like it. But who knows? There aren't that many scoring stages left in Los Angeles these days, unfortunately. Such is the way of the world. Right. Okay. How are we doing? How are we doing for time? Let me just check, because we're going. Oh yeah, we're fine. We've got about another half an hour or so to go. That's absolutely fine. Oh, you've got all the glitch machines up. Very good. Yes. What's the best rim reverb? Is reverence? Yeah. Look, it's all a matter of. As I say, I'm quite fond of East-West spaces. I really like. I think it's quite musical. I know Jake Jackson mixes with Altiverb. He's very fond of that. And they sound great. They really do sound great. And when I think a lot of it's down to when you put enough effort in to learn the libraries and learn the plugins, you can get great, really, really fantastic response out of almost anything. Okay, a couple of questions about pianos. So shall we have a quick look at a couple of pianos? There are plenty of them, obviously. The ones I tend to use are the one if I'm just going to load something up because I want to have an idea, I will go to Sound Iron's Emotional Piano. It's just lovely. But it's how well you can see there's this is my mother-in-law's piano, which has now followed me around for quite a while. You get so used to your piano, it becomes such a big thing. Your particular. But this one for me, Emotional Piano. Because it's soft, but it's got enough kind of, there is a little bit of crackling going on. Yes, it is. What it is, I've been trying to solve this for some time. It's to do with the transmission software we use, which somehow is having a problem with Cubase. I don't know. So sometimes there's a bit of. It's nothing to do with the libraries. It's to do with conflict, which is just annoying. Okay. Other piano libraries are available. We've got, let me go. Quite a lot of the best, to be honest, are not Kontakt instruments, but they're their own dedicated ones. Is this one I've got? Let's have a look. I can't remember using this one for a while. So is it authorized on this machine? We're about to find out. 8Dio's Studio Grand, which is a Steinway. Are you going to load? Is anything happening? Ooh, gone very quiet over here. It sometimes does this. The thing is, people will now say in the notes, they'll say batch save, battery save, and I completely agree. But when you've got this many libraries, particularly ones you don't use very often, it takes a long time to battery save stuff. And so, when you do battery save stuff, it kind of, oh my lord. It does speed things up significantly, but piano techs, I really like piano tech. Okay, is this complete? Have I crashed my system? Do you know there is a possibility? Oh, Cinematic Studio Piano. I didn't know that existed. About doing a critique video where you send a music to and you react to tips. Yes, we do for feedback sessions for all of those of you who are happy members of the How to Write Music team. We do feedback sessions, and we got another one coming up next week. So anybody who's on the who's bought How to Write Music will be getting an email soon. Right, I'm bored with this. It looks like it's crashed, so I'm going to get rid of it and restart it. That was an unwise thing to do. What I tend to do is trying to do two things at once, and it doesn't like a lot of. This is nothing to do with Cubase or anything else. It's just trying to do too many things on the same machine at the same time, because we've got all the instruments, all Cubase, and this system called Wirecast, which is very, very processor hungry and doesn't like it. And so that's what sometimes causes problems. Deactivated for this check. Wishing copy and paste was deactivated. Why is there a lot of copying and pasting going on? It's a perfectly good idea. Okay, Max Tooney, tell me what you're after. What do you want to know, Max Tooney? And I will address your concerns. Alicia Keys was good, yes. I quite like Alicia Keys as well. Is Emotional Piano the 8DO one? It used to be 8DO when they used to be called Tone Hammer. That's what they used to be called, wasn't it? Okay, right, Piano Tech. Let me just add let's go to the Piano Tech one. Where is Piano Tech? There it is. Bonk. This is, if I want, is Cubase Artist enough? It depends. It's, if you want something which is a bit more assertive, then... So I tend to use Emotional Piano and Piano Tech. Yeah, those are the two which I go for. This, because Piano Tech is sample modeling, isn't it? And it's relatively light on the CPU and the memory and all that kind of malarkey, and it sounds great. So you probably need more than one piano, to be brutally honest. It's one of these things which you'll go on. So, Boolean Diary is trying to buy a fitness bike. That's no good. You don't need a fitness bike. You can just go for a run in the garden and buy lots of libraries, mate. Buy libraries. Right. Let's see. Did my friend Max Tooney come back and say what he wants to know? Come on, Max. We're hanging on your every moment. Can we send music? Yes, you can, Cyril. If you're on you're a How to Write Music person, aren't you? That thing has 4 pedals. I know. Yeah, it's always got to have one more than everybody else, isn't it? With the feedback session, we can't promise to get to everybody, but we do our level best to get through as much as possible in an hour and a half, basically. And the thing is, even if we don't get around to your piece of music, we go through tons of other people's music, and you will learn a lot along the way. So, and it's an interactive thing. It's live like this, and it's all good. Any thoughts on Roland? I haven't actually got into the Roland Cloud, so I can't really comment on that. To me, you can never have too many VSTs, sort of. But the thing is, it's really easy to get slightly overwhelmed with the amount of choice you've got. And, one of the most common tips people give is, if you're having trouble getting started, restrict yourself to 3 or 4 instruments and things like that, and then you will find it much easier, because you're not going to waste hours. I mean, because people... There was a particularly funny comment when I did that video called "Keeping It Simple" or whatever, and he something said, then Guy, proceeds to open up Kontakt and sees about 400,000 libraries, and in that comment is a lot of truth. Look, you could, and that's not all of them. Some of them are not there, but. What can I tell you? Right, what else do you want to know, team? A large... The jellyfish was down on the beach. It's huge. And I thought, okay, what happens if I send this picture to the local paper and they stick it on the website? And then, isn't that funny? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Scramble. Tell me what's going on. Cine Samples sale is over and I missed it. Don't worry, there's always another one. It's just like buses, if you wait long enough, another sale will come around. Okay, right. Native Instruments had a Cine Sample bundle. Yes, they did. But that does come around quite a lot, actually. Have you ever recorded your own piano library? No, I haven't. I do some very basic sampling, and it's mainly when I'm trying to do some kind of weird and wacky instrument. Because as you can see in the background, I've got tons of sort of woodwind and all kinds of stuff. And sometimes sampling your own stuff is really, really fun and cool. But a lot of the time, when I was spending my life writing 5 or 6 what was the worst it ever did when I was doing animation? 5 series at the same time. It absolutely killed me. Why did I do it? Because there comes a point, when you can, you heard the disco thing. That's how we stay in touch with all. Yes, yeah. Anyway, yeah, doing 5 or 6 shows at the same time was not a very good idea. So now I've disposed of that as a. I just trying to do one thing at a time and do it properly and take my time and spend more time with you and doing, because this is really, really good fun. I enjoy doing this, and so spending my time between doing commercial stuff and the education stuff is absolutely great. So mother-in-law piano. Yeah, it's a lovely sound. I mean, it's because I'm now completely wireless. I can get up and. It's got that soft pedal on, that middle pedal thing, which makes it kind of sound really kind of. It's not felt piano. It's not like that completely felt soft piano Spitfire thing, but it's a very nice sort of. It just encourages. Oh, how is Larry the Pheasant doing? Larry the Pheasant has got 3 female pheasants, and they've disappeared into the undergrowth. I cannot tell you why, but they will be back. Larry's not around. He's not around today. Otherwise, I'd swivel a camera around and show you. But I haven't seen Larry since this morning. But he's still in one piece. Nobody's eaten him. It's a... God, bloody hell. Right. How are we doing here? Embertone Walker, 1950. The thing is, there are so many... Piano book... Okay, people keep on mentioning piano. I'll have to go and look at that, aren't I? Okay. Let's move on. There are so many libraries, but ultimately, it's the music which counts, as I keep saying. But they do have a personality. I mean, it was funny. I was just playing around with this solo horn earlier today, and I thought, this is the Berlin one, and it's a really, really nice sound. And what Berlin offer you is 4. Look, you can see down here, you get 4 individual horns. So they are all separate samples. And it really does sound different. If you stack up all 4 rather than the same one 4 times, it does sound better, more realistic and different. And this is also why I tend not to use horn ensemble patch unless I'm going for a solo line, because it just starts to sound so muddy when where's Spitfire Brass? See, if you use horns 6, for example, here we go. Why does it keep doing that every time? Okay, so it sounds fantastic when you go. But if you play that as a chord, you've got 6 horns on each note. Really? So that's... 18 horns, which even my friend Stephen Basted, a wonderful games composer, doesn't run to 18 horns. 12 horns, he says, is just about the right number. That man is too much brass. That's what a horn section sounds like, and that will be 6 horns, because you've got a triad with 2 horns on each note. So if you're doing your brass, don't get carried away with huge numbers, because there was one of the 8DO libraries I got a long time ago was called something like 8DO Black. It had one of those kind of, oh my God names to it, and it was absolutely ludicrously over the top. Only a trailer and games composer could possibly put together. I think they had something like 50 or 60 horn players in the same room. It's just absolutely insane. But the brass bit, there was a law of diminishing returns. But by the time you get many more than 12 brass, because of all the kind of phase cancellation, it just gets weird and so like some giant brass organ. I didn't just say giant brass organ, did I? Good. Thank God I didn't say that. That was close. I nearly said that. Okay. Anyway, it kind of sounds a bit thin and weird. I'm going to be careful what I'm saying, because I can see I'm going to get into trouble if I'm not careful. Right. So we've had a little look at that. And have got now. Where's my friends? Century Brass Ensemble version 1. Okay, let's have a listen to horns 1 and 2. Horn 6. Okay, so let's see how that kind of. It's a while since I've loaded it up, so let's see if it works. It's going to stop. No, it's not. Here we go. Okay. Right. It's a good sound. That is a good sound. What are we going to put in here? Oh, yes, this is a slightly strange system, isn't it? I couldn't quite get on with this, but it's forgotten. I shouldn't do this to them, really, because I should remember how to do it. But, okay, there's the legato one. So it's very smooth. Really smooth, actually. Yeah, okay. The other thing with brass is how smoothly it goes through the dynamics, because there's such a huge tonal difference between fortissimo and pianissimo. It's a massive challenge to brass samplers. And anyway, so Century Brass 2, I'm sure, is an improvement on that. But even that is, I've forgotten actually. It was quite, how good it is. So thank you for reminding me. Thank you out there. Good stuff. Right. How are we doing? Okay. So we've been going just over an hour now. Depending on your library, okay. Right. Christians where strangers can offer free sample sets. Piano Book is a community-based sample library created. Oh, right. Yes, okay, that's now I remember now. Now that's why it rings bells. Yes, absolutely. Yes, I should look into this. Dune versus Yuhei. We will do a synth day. Larry the Pheasant. Yes. I've got a lot of wildlife around here actually. Okay, I'm just looking down here to see if there's any specific questions. So come on, is there anything else? Is there anything specific which you would like me, if your library supports soft pedal? Good question. Pianotech definitely does. Absolutely, definitely does. What's the brass library Guy just played? Okay, what Guy played was, first of all, Spitfire Brass, Berlin Brass, Spitfire Brass, and then 8DO's Century Brass, So go and check out 8DO because that's I think the one which you're probably referring to. But they certainly should be on your radar because they all have the full set of articulations and everything else. And choirs, okay. The ones I use most are I use there's a particularly cool, where was it? 8DO one, which I use quite a lot. Because a lot of this stuff lives in my template, I don't have to go and find it very often. Now I do. Oh God, where have I put it? Okay. Doesn't seem to be in that one. Let me look in this one. So 8DO do a good choir. So do East West, as I mentioned before. It's not there, is it? No. Okay. I'm not quite sure where it's gone. Impacts. Oh, where's Strezov? Strezov do really good stuff. And here we go. What have I got here? They do the where we go. Legato. Okay, let's see how this goes. They do a lot of really interesting choir stuff. This is obviously the Bulgarian, but it's not that. That's gorgeous. That's really lovely. Okay, I'm super converted. Oh no, that. I've played with quite a lot of this stuff before, and some of it is much more ethnic, but that would blend beautifully with a lot of stuff, really, really well. This famous disappearing 8DO choir is slightly perplexing me, but the one which we played with right at the beginning, here we go, the East-West choirs is really good. Their Word Builder still remains the best in the business, I think. It used to be incredibly complicated to use. I mean, unbelievably complicated to use. When you had to have separate bits of software, and it would only work properly if you had your left foot in a bucket of cement, and you had a dandelion sticking out your right ear, and then as long as it was less than 48 degrees and more than 16, then it would all work. But now it's much, much better, and it just loads up, and it's all great. So here, let's load up. Come and see us. The women's Thingamabob. Oh, lordy. What I like is the Vienna Pro. Okay, Polygon is asking about Ensemble Pro. Yes, it absolutely is, 100%. And if you are okay, the advantages of VSL Ensemble Pro are that you can, rather than having to get one huge computer, you can run lots of computers, which is cheaper. And you can also, if you have a very, come on, that's better. You know that there's no new plugins here. Be a good boy. That's it. Okay, so I'm not going to load if I start loading my template up, we'll be here till Christmas. So you just, stick your plugins in, and instrument. Oh, that's a Vienna instrument. Yeah, and it's great. It's really, really good. It just sits here and it, hosts all the. So you can have an absolutely massive template going on, and you don't have to. The load times on your individual sequences are then much, much lower because you're you don't have to load all the instruments. All it does is connect. So it does save a lot of time. But you really, Vienna Ensemble Pro is fantastic if your main machine is running out of gas and you need help, because then you can just connect it via Ethernet and run it on an old PC or something. Or you really like huge templates and you want to be able to swap between cues. The alternative is the more Spitfire sort of way of working, which uses much sort of lighter templates all round, so they're not quite so huge. And then you don't need the Ensemble Pro thing because you load it all in the single load. And actually, now with SSDs and all that kind of stuff, things load so fast that it's less essential to have Ensemble Pro. I still use it. I mean, I alternate between working with a much lighter, semi-empty template, as I was explaining last time we did this, and then just loading instruments as I go, and then if I do want the big thing where I've got everything loaded up and I go, what am I going to have today? I want, Abyssinian nose flute or whatever, and Abyssinian nose flute, on go the sunglasses of doubt, but yeah, so different ways of working is definitely helps produce different sounds, and sounding different is pretty important, really, as I keep coming back. Okay, right. So I believe if you go to ThinkSpace, you can get your instructions on getting your composition submitted for critique. Yes, we're only doing it for paying customers, and even that is a bit overwhelming because the sheer number of people. But How to Write Music is dead cheap. It's extremely good value, and lots of you have taken advantage of it. Thank you very much. And the premium students on short courses like Music for the Media and Sampled Orchestration and things like that, we're having a series of webinars for them at the moment as well. So it's still not too late to join, because we've got another live webinar on Friday, which we're looking at sampled orchestration with the premium students, and then next week we've got an exclusive webinar for the How to Write Music students. So join one of those courses and you'll get your invite and come along to a slightly smaller group, because we've got 393 people in the room at the moment, which is quite a lot. So it's not exactly a little personal chat. But anyway, I think we're doing all right. Anyway, hi, just saying, appreciate your videos and editing style. Keep it up. Thank you. The editor is a chap called Hugh. He's been with us for several years, and he's an absolute genius. Working from home has been quite challenging, obviously, because normally, when I do one of these blog videos, we're producing like 20, 30 gigabytes of video data. Anyway, I've now got a super fast connection, and so I can all this stuff is flying around. So it's sort of, we're hanging in there. It's all working all right, actually, to be absolutely honest. But okay, right, what have we got going on? What DAW are you using? Oh no, you're using Tori. That's a Ryzen's the way to go. Oh, there's all kinds of sub chats going on here, isn't there? Yes. So I'm about to PC with 64 gig and 8 cores is cheap today. It is. You're right. 64 gigs and 8 cores. Now, the funny thing was, okay, the other day, it seems like the other day, it was actually about an hour ago. No, 2 hours ago. I was looking at the manual for Hollywood Strings, and Hollywood Strings from East West, of course, came out quite a long time ago. And when they're definitely, they do this thing with Hollywood Strings. Those of you who've got Composer Cloud will know. They say, there's this powerful, only these patches are for a powerful system. Oh, okay. And then you look at their definition of powerful system. You need a quad-core machine. And it's got to have, sit down when I tell you this, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Oh, my Lord. My phone has got more than that in it now. And that was a powerful system back in the day. And you wouldn't run those powerful patches on that, though. This is the thing with with East West. Just because their Composer Cloud is such incredibly good value, a lot of people expect to be able to run a big template with all the Hollywood stuff on a MacBook with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it's just not going to happen. These libraries are quite demanding, and you can run a fantastic template, but you need to be really careful about what you load, because the memory will go poof and the CPU will go bang and steam will pour out of its ears, and that will be, oh my lord. Okay. Studio One. Cubase versus Logic. Any major differences? No pun intended. Oh, tons. Yeah, Composer Cloud is about the only way you can do this pay monthly thing, to be honest. But I mean, the amount of stuff you get for it, though, is just unbelievable. I mean, hang on, let me just, as I say, I've just started looking into it, because I used to use Hollywood Strings, Hollywood Brass all the time, and then I sort of look, and this isn't all these libraries. I mean, they just go on and on and on, and you get all this. I've got the Plus version, so I get the Diamond. But actually, you see the Gold version. The difference is the Plus version, you get the 24-bit samples and you get multiple mic positions. Multiple mic positions is really, really useful and can massively change. Oh, hang on. I've done it again. Sorry, team. There we go. Right. Look, here's all the list of stuff which you weren't able to see before because I'm an idiot. So look, that's not even all of it, but there's tons and tons and tons of incredible libraries, huge libraries, absolutely huge, but also sort of weird and wacky things like the Beatles one, the Fab Four one. I really like some of this, why don't I just load this? Oh, hang on, boys and girls. Something important's just happened. Just a second. This may be a silly thing to do. Okay. Oh, did you catch a quick glimpse? Larry is in the house. Larry's here. If he gets outside the window, I will cut back to it. This is like Springwatch for those of you in the UK. It's such an English thing. If you're not in the UK, there's this live sort of wildlife watching program which comes on in spring and winter, and they sit around and they cut to their live cameras. Oh, there's a lesser whitethroat and it's going back to the nest. It's just, as a birder, I think it's the best thing ever. I have the best time. Okay, sorry. Off topic. Right. So we were getting this up and running. See if the. Oh, hang on. I think what I've done is I've loaded the choirs and the Beatles all at the same time. Was that a really good idea? Those kind of, happy accidents as, what was his name? Thingy Bob Ross. Bob Ross, yes. What a geezer, eh? What a geezer. Okay, right, let me try and get one of their wacky libraries up again. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Okay. Larry Cam. He's over there. He's wandering about. Tell you what, we'll leave Larry Cam down for a bit in case Larry comes back. You don't need to see me. You know what I look like. Okay, right. We were going to load one of these up, weren't we? So we're going to have a look at this. Come on, Larry. He's lurking. He'll be back. Larry's a player. If you're trying to do retro modern, which is obviously quite a big thing right now, stuff like Fab Four, how much fun is that? It really, really good. They got all these kind of crazy stuff. I mean, in essence, they've recreated the sounds of a whole load of famous Beatles tracks in terms. Anyway, good stuff. Spitfire BML Mural is better than. Okay, Spitfire Mural and Sable were the forerunners of their Spitfire symphonic strings and Spitfire chamber strings. And if you look at the file names inside the folders, you'll see that actually, oh, Larry, you've let me down, mate. He's on the fence. He's literally on the fence, about to jump over. So he's gone. Right. Meanwhile, back with Guy Cam. Now it's all wonky. Never mind. So yeah. So what was I saying? Oh, goodness gracious. I should really concentrate a bit more. Cubase versus Logic. Larry's the fifth beeper. Larry's a paperback writer. It's all true. It's all true. Okay. Cubase versus Logic is a bit of a big topic to get into at this point, to be absolutely honest, because I'm starting to run out of energy. Hour and 26 minutes in. Oh, it's 7:05. We're going to wind this up in a minute. Yeah, BML. The trouble with Sable and Mural was that it was like a car without a fourth gear. And it was perfectly good at getting up to about 40 miles an hour, but it never went anywhere else. And somehow, when it was revamped and came out as chamber, it came out sounding absolutely blindingly brilliant and wonderful and great and super and terrific and all that kind of thing. So, look, I mean, all these libraries, it's horses for courses, isn't it? You know, and it's, you know, what's the sound you like? Because if you go with the Hollywood series, it's much more in your face. It's a smaller room. It's actually, I'll show you. Hang on, there was a good example. Is this a good idea, Guy? Just hang on. When I was looking in the manual, there was a picture of the room in which they record, and that tells you a lot about the library. So. Hang on, I'm just looking on my emails and I'm not going to share that with you. Oh no, this may be is this going to be a good idea? Is this a good... oh no, here it is. I found it already. So then it probably is a good time. So let's just open up this, download that. Yes, here we go. Yeah, let's open this. Come on then. Okay, boom. Okay, so if we whiz down in the library, there's the boys who... run it. There. Okay, here, look. So that is the room. So that gives you an idea of the size of the room. So it's smaller than most of the scoring stages. That looks like you probably comfortably put a 20 or 30 piece in there. Whereas with places like Warner Brothers, they'll do best part of 100. 70 comfortably. But the thing is with a recording space that and I've said this many times before, but particularly with string libraries, you're really paying for the sound of the room. You know, and we've heard this evening when we've gone through the Cine Sample stuff and the BBC Symphony stuff and all the rest of it, they all sound completely different because they're recorded in different ambient spaces. It's not just the players and the instruments. It's this. This is what gives it its, color and its texture and all the rest of it. So with the Hollywood series, it's a much drier sound to start with, and you then add the reverb. Whereas with the Spitfire stuff, it's the other way around. So it's a very ambient space when the stuff recorded at air. And this is why everybody was quite excited about the BBC Symphony Orchestra. I mean, people who've already got tons of stuff were excited about the BBC Symphony Orchestra stuff because it's the Spitfire approach, but on a more like a scoring stage sound, because they recorded it at the BBC's rehearsal studio at Maida Vale, which is more like a recording space. So, I wonder what Johannes said that he retracted it. Must be very rude. No, probably not. Okay, when using a single instance of play or Kontakt to control multiple instruments, how do you automate things like expression when there's only one automation window per track? That's a very complicated question, actually. And it's very specific to... It's dead easy. It's one of the reasons which I prefer Cubase. It's much harder in Logic to do that. But if you had... if we had a multi... Okay, if I take a multi-timbral instance of... okay, well, you can just keep that and just add a whole load of other stuff in. So if you have multiple instruments, okay, on channels 1 to 3, and you then add MIDI tracks. If you add 3 MIDI tracks, actually, here's a quick tip. For Kontakt users, if you change your channel for the basic one to 16, it will then start when you add MIDI tracks at track 1. So if we then have 3, 1, 2, 3, oh, it's gone to 5, who cares? Now each of those just behaves completely independently, and it's so multi-timbral instruments in. Oh, I've done it again! I've done it again! Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay, look, what I was doing, that's the little window there where you change it to 16, and then I've got all these instruments in here on charts 1, 2, and 3. All the controllers are completely separate. They're like completely separate instruments. It's just they're all housed in one Kontakt. So it is a great deal simpler to do that in Cubase than it is in Logic. Logic is a bit of a faff, and there are limits on how big the template can be and all kinds of things. So yeah, multi-instruments are definitely easier in Cubase, but Logic has lots of other things going for it. And I mean, I know people are incredibly loyal to Logic, particularly songwriters and people from that side of the tracks. It still remains to this day harder to build a really huge template, should you wish to do so. But that's not necessarily the be and the end all. Right, I'm going to start winding this up because can I send you music? I want to hear your critique. I get an awful lot of music every day from people. And I prioritize my master students and premium students and how to write music students. So those who've come on down, and we do feedback sessions for those fortunate students, and it's really good fun and it's all great. So if you want to come along to a feedback session, then there's a how to write music one next week, and there's a short course one every Friday for the next 5 weeks. So if you're signing up for music for the media, a cinematic orchestration, sampled orchestration, template in a weekend, how to score films, one of those courses, you get an invitation to the premium sessions on Fridays. And if you are a how to write music student, because there's an awful lot more of how to write music students than anything else, so we have special sessions for them. So that's how that works. So yeah, absolutely. Larry's theme. Do you think Larry's theme? Yeah. Anyway, yes, you're absolutely right, Cyril. Look, Cyril, there's nothing more to see right now. I'm not. Look, you can see. Look, there you go. You're not missing anything. You see? You're not missing anything. It's all right. But thank you for shouting at me. Absolutely. Anyway, I think I've rabbited on for long enough. Larry has gone home. Oh, there's a Mrs. Larry outside. Did you? Okay. Every time I put the camera down, I'm going to have to turn this into a multi-camera extravaganza, aren't I? At which point I can just push I will have a secret camera outside. And I push the button. And then, as the pheasant comes in, Larry Cam leaps into life. Okay, look, enough of this. Look, thank you very much indeed for your company today. Let me remind you one more time, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you doing? If you want to get notifications and all that kind of thing, then yeah, absolutely, stay in touch. If you download any of our free guides or anything like that, you'll go on the mailing list and you will get notifications when things happen. But you did see Mrs. Larry. Good. I'm very delighted. That's good stuff. So look, remember to stay in touch with us, and thank you very much indeed for coming along tonight. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to Spitfire Originals. I don't know anything. Oh well, okay, yes. There's the nice thing about this is there's never an end to stuff to look at, is there? So we need to do synths, we need to do all kinds of things. So feel free to drop us a line if you think we need to address a particular area, and then we can specialize and say, okay, we'll look at brass today, or we'll look at woodwind or something, and maybe focus on one area and try and write a bit of music with it or something like that. Because certainly for the time being, while we're all locked down, we're going to be doing sort of probably one live a week and one filmed episode a week. So there'll be 2, and we try and aim for Wednesdays and Fridays, but it doesn't always work, does it? It mainly does. It mainly does. to be absolutely honest. Anyway, look, thank you very much. It's 7:15. It's time for me to go. We'll be back, and there'll be another video out on Friday, so look out for that. Anyway, cheerio, and thank you very much indeed for your questions, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon.